Revealed, the sinister secrets of the cursed camp. A spine-chilling paranormal encounter. Every summer, Maplewood transforms into a sunny haven for families. Kids race down tree-lined streets, laughter echoing in the air. Jenna had always believed her suburban neighborhood was a place of safety. But the cheerful facade shattered when whispers of a dark secret began to creep into her ears. Parents exchanged nervous glances, their voices fading into uneasy murmurs that sent chills down Jenna's spine. "You hear about the campers who vanished?" they said, each word punctuated with fear. Dark rituals and restless spirits from the depths of local folklore haunted the outskirts of the nearby camp, intertwining with the laughter of summer like a haunting echo. Once excited, Jenna could see innocence leap in her 7-year-old son, Lucas. Camp would be a bastion of adventure, a land untouched by the chilling tales. But then, subtle changes began. A flicker of darkness twisted Lucas's once vibrant glow. He spent hours scribbling cryptic drawings, shadowy figures that seemed to leap from the paper in twisted formations. "Look, Mommy," he'd say, his voice a somber whisper, "can you see them? The ones from the old days?" Jenna's heart tightened. She brushed it off as childhood musings, but a knot in her stomach tightened with each passing day. Jenna's safest space slowly morphed into a menacing domain. Mrs. Holloway, the seemingly sweet neighbor, began to appear uninvited, her questions invasive, her eyes too keen. "How's Lucas doing at camp?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with a strange eagerness. Jenna felt exposed under her gaze, her stomach churning with unease. Something wasn't right about the way Mrs. Holloway watched from her porch, an intensity that set Jenna's nerves aflame. "Kids don't just vanish," she reassured herself. But doubt burrowed like a worm in her mind. Then came the night terrors. Whispers nagged at the corners of her home, calling Lucas's name in soft, eerie tones. Shadows danced just beyond sight, their forms skimming the edges of her vision. Jenna lay awake, heart racing, every creak of the house like a warning bell. "This is not just a game," she thought, dread pooling in her gut. She sought answers from the local police, but their indifference stung deeper than any wound. "Just kid stories, Ma, they chuckled, their laughter echoing hollow and dismissive. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days melded into nights of tormenting shadows. Jenna's frantic research unveiled shocking bonds between the camp and the most trusted in the community figures she had always leaned upon. Was her neighborhood a facade of safety, hiding sinister truths behind friendly smiles? As she delved deeper, she felt the lines between reality and paranoia beginning to fracture, her breath growing short with each revelation. Panic solidified when Lucas vanished into thin air one fateful night. The house fell silent, save for the rustle of drawings scattered across the floor, crumpled remnants of his haunted visions. Heart racing and mind swirling, Jenna bolted toward the camp, the wild woods framing it like a dark secret, desperate to reclaim her son. As she approached, a bone-chilling fog enveloped the camp. All laughter was gone, the air thick with an unsettling stillness. It felt alive, hungry. Each rustle in the bushes ignited a surge of dread within her. She moved deeper into the woods, shadows swirling as whispers echoed behind her. "Lucas, come play." Jenna stopped, heart pounding, trembling as she realized the camp was more than a place, it was a predator, a hungry force waiting for its next victim. As the darkness closed in around her, a familiar voice beckoned from within the trees. Would she uncover the horrifying truth, or would she and Lucas become the camp's next forgotten tale? Jenna's breath came in sharp gasps as the familiar voice wound its way through the trees, wrapping around her like an icy chain. "Lucas!" she called out, desperation lacing her voice. The weight of silence pressed down upon her, merging with the chilled fog that billowed and drifted around her like restless spirits. Each step forward felt like moving through molasses, the dense air clawing at her throat, the shadows stretched and twisted, morphing into grotesque shapes that flickered at the edges of her vision. She fought the urge to turn back, to flee from the dread that clawed at her insides. Lucas needed her. He was out there, calling her. Was he? But deep down, a tremor of doubt slithered through her mind. The trees stood like sentinels, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. Something rustled behind her. Jenna spun around, pressing herself against the rough bark of a tree. A figure moved in the fog, a silhouette that seemed to shimmer before fading into the mist like a breath withheld. "Lucas?" she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. Another whisper, softer this time, brushed against her ears. "Help me." The childlike tone was unmistakable. Her heart raced. It wasn't just in her head. It was real. She edged toward the sound, clinging to hope as tightly as a lifeline. Every instinct screamed to run, but every step was fueled by a mother's desperate longing. As she crept further into the darkness, the ambient noise of the forest vanished, replaced by an eerie silence. She moved cautiously, her eyes straining to pierce the fog that thickened like a curtain. Then she saw him, a small figure crouched at the foot of a massive oak, its gnarled roots twisting like old hands seeking to ensnare. "Lucas!" Jenna cried out, rushing toward him. Relief surged through her, but fading anticipation chilled her veins. "Why did you run off?" "I was so scared." He turned, his face pale, shadowed by the eerie light. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated. He looked at her, but the boy she knew was gone. "Mommy," he whispered, voice trembling, "they don't want us to leave." "Who, sweetie? Who doesn't want us to leave?" Panic surged in her throat. Jenna's heart sank as she glanced at the trees surrounding them, their twisted forms looming closer, almost suffocating. "The camp." Lucas's voice poured out like treacle, sweet yet sticky with a foreboding heaviness. "They want us to stay. Forever." A chill ripped through Jenna, coursing down her spine. She pulled Lucas into a tight embrace, fear pulsating within her. "We need to go, Lucas. Now." But the ground shifted beneath them. The air crackled, and Jenna felt it, a pulse, slow and relentless, as if the camp itself was alive, absorbing their fear. The whispers returned, a torrential crescendo filled with laughter that cut through the fog. "Stay with us, joy and fun await." "No!" Jenna screamed, clutching Lucas tighter. Shadows converged, swirling with a mind of their own, attempting to grasp at her arms. They danced in a frenzied mockery of mirth, taunting her with snippets of lost laughter, echoing desolation. Jenna's heart raced as she felt something tugging at her soul, a magnetic pull toward the darkness. "Lucas, we can't let it take us." With a primal strength, she yanked him from the ground, forcing her legs to move as they sprinted back toward the camp's entrance. She could hear the whispers growing frantic, turning into hysterical shrieks of laughter. "You can't escape. You belong to us." Breathless, they stumbled back into the feeble light of the moon, gasping for air like drowning souls. But Jenna glanced back one last time. Shadows writhed and twisted, reaching out toward them, desperately hungry for their return. As they burst forth into the clearing, she felt the suffocating grip of darkness release its hold, the laughter fading into an unnerving silence. But as relief washed over her, she froze in place. There stood Mrs. Holloway, her sweet face warped into an eerie smile. "Oh dear, you found him." "But the camp misses its little ones." The darkness crawled back into Jenna's vision, shifting and swirling. With a new menacing sound. The ground beneath them pulsed again, and a haunting chant began to rise. Come play, come stay. Was the camp truly satiated, or simply lying in wait for the next time? Jenna clutched Lucas's hand tightly, knowing this battle was far from over. Jenna stared in disbelief, Mrs. Holloway's unnatural smile sending tendrils of panic racing through her veins. "What do you mean, the camp misses its little ones?" She gasped, instinctively stepping back, pulling Lucas closer to her side. The soft glow of the moon illuminated Mrs. Holloway's face, casting eerie shadows that accentuated her wicked grin. "Well, dear," the camp director crooned, her voice sickly sweet, "you and Lucas have become part of the family now. Don't you want to be together forever?" "Forever?" Jenna's heart thudded in her chest. "No. We want to leave." All around them, the atmosphere thickened, pressing in like a living creature. The trees shivered, their branches rustling, whispering secrets that made Jenna's skin crawl. Lucas clung to her, eyes wide as he took in the sight of Mrs. Holloway, so familiar yet so terrifying. "Let us go home." Lucas pleaded, but his small voice was drowned out by the surrounding laughter, echoing off the trees, a sound of mania that cracked against the chilling air. "It's okay, sweetheart," Jenna whispered, "we will find a way, I promise." But as they turned to flee, the forest erupted with noise. Shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, closing in like a wave. The dry leaves swirled around them, spinning into a frenzy of movement, disorienting Jenna. Where did they go? A hiss echoed through the dark fog, sending shivers down her back. "They can't run forever." "Run!" Jenna screamed, eyes darting for an escape. They leapt forward, but the ground beneath them shifted unnaturally, as if it were alive. The roots of the trees grew and coiled, stretching across their path, eager to trip them up. "Help me!" The childlike voice wafted back through the fog, a dark lure pulling at the corners of Jenna's mind. She fought against it, shaking her head fiercely as she tugged Lucas onward. Then, they stumbled into a clearing, the surroundings suddenly silent as if time itself had halted. A circle of jagged stones formed a boundary around them, ominous in the moonlight. Behind the stones danced shadows, flickering like candle flames in a gust of wind. Fear gripped Jenna's heart, her instincts screaming at her to turn back. "Look!" Lucas pointed. There, standing on an enormous stone slab at the center of the circle, was a tattered doll, its porcelain face cracked and stained. It stared blankly ahead, as if expecting to be loved. That's what they want," Lucas murmured, his little fingers trembling against her hand. "What do you mean?" Jenna asked, confusion mingling with dread. "What about it?" "They want us to join them to play," he whispered, his voice low, filled with an unsettling fascination, as if the camp's hold began to creep into him too. "Oh no, no." Jenna shook her head violently. "No, we want." But as they turned to run, Mrs. Holloway reappeared, flanked by a group of other camp leaders, each wearing similar unsettling smiles. "You're just in time for the festivities." The shadows behind them darkened, drawing closer, the hearts of the trees pulsing with a monstrous hunger. Jenna's blood ran cold. They weren't just fighting to leave, they were on the precipice of something much worse than she could have imagined. "Join us or be forever lost." Mrs. Holloway's voice boomed, cracking like thunder as the ground trembled beneath her feet. Jenna's mind raced. The camp was alive, feeding off their fear, and if she didn't act fast in that moment, desperation ignited a spark of defiance. "We want to be your playthings," she shouted, the sound of her own voice filling her with strength. "We will escape." With renewed determination, Jenna squeezed Lucas's hand tighter and prepared to break through the barrier of shadows, but as they moved, Jenna felt that pulse again, the camp thrumming with dark energy, mingling with an insistent chant that crested into a manic roar. But in her heart, she knew that if they were going to escape the clutches of this nightmare, she'd have to confront the darkness head-on. She had to uncover the secrets holding them captive before it consumed them both. What was the truth behind those twisted trees, and what price would she have to pay to save Lucas before it was too late? With her heart racing, Jenna took a deep breath, steeling herself against the encroaching shadows. They rippled like water, shifting and swaying, almost as if they were alive, echoing the taunts of Mrs. Holloway and the other leaders. "We have to stick together," she urged Lucas, pulling him close. They charged through the dark, the chanting growing louder, a maddening chorus that seemed to wrap around them like barbed wire. Shadows clawed at the edges of her vision, faces twisted in agony and ecstasy, reaching out with ghostly fingers. Don't look at them. Keep your eyes on the exit. Jenna shouted, her words almost swallowed by the mounting din. But Lucas hesitated, glancing back at the doll on the stone. Jenna, it wants us, he murmured, his voice thin and quivering like a frayed string. No, it doesn't, Jenna cried, dragging him forward. We're leaving this place. Yet they found themselves caught in a whirlpool of darkness. The moments they hesitated seemed to stretch painfully long. As they pushed onward, the sound of laughter erupted again, mixing with the whispers. Stay with us, stay, the haunting voices called. Just then, something latched onto Jenna's ankle. She stumbled, fighting against the icy grip of roots. Yes, they twisted like serpents, pulling her down with a power that made her blood freeze. She felt the earth shift beneath her feet, alive and aware. Jenna! Lucas screamed, pulling at her arm with desperate strength. Run! Lucas, run! She yelled, panic bursting forth like a dam shattering. Her fear transformed into adrenaline as she wrestled her foot free, tearing away just as the roots slithered back into the earth. They broke free from the tight grasp of the woods. Closer, she thought, they were moving closer to the edge of the clearing. But the air crackled with tension, a thick electric charge that filled the atmosphere with dread. The shadows twisted with a potent fury, and Jenna felt a shift in the air as Mrs. Holloway advanced, flanked by her monstrous cohorts. Such delicious fear! She crooned, her eyes glinting like shards of glass. It makes this wretched place thrive. We want to let you take us. Jenna shouted defiantly, her voice rising against the cacophony of madness surrounding them. We're just beginning to play, little doe. Mrs. Holloway replied, her grin stretching impossibly wide. There's no escape from what you have chosen. Suddenly, Jenna caught a glimmer of something amidst the chaos, a flicker of light that pulsed like a heartbeat within the clearing. A way out. An urging instinct propelled her forward, and without thinking, she darted towards it, tugging Lucas along, each step resonating with an ancient urgency. But as they raced, something unseen surged towards them, wreaking havoc with shrieks that tore through the air like a knife. Jenna closed her eyes against the sound, her breath coming in sharp gasps. She refused to falter now. In an instant, they burst into a wide-open space filled with mist that rolled and swirled like terrifying spirits released from their binds. The path stretched ahead, dimly lit by the moon, but shadows twisted around the trees, towering and ominous. Where is this going? Lucas asked, panic lacing his voice. What does it matter? We just need to go. She gasped, urging him to pick up the pace. They pressed forward, the stakes rising with every step, but something deep within Jenna twisted the feeling that they were still not free, that the camp's dark influence clawed at their heels. Out of the corner of her eye, Jenna glimpsed a flickering silhouette in the mist. It stopped her dead in her tracks. The shape morphed into a familiar one, another child, pale and hollow-eyed, staring at them with an all-knowing gaze. Frozen in place, Jenna's breath caught. This isn't right, she murmured, realizing just how deep the grip of this place ran. Jenna! Lucas tugged at her arm, panic surging as the laughter rose to a fever pitch behind them. But before she could reply, the haze around them thickened, folding in like a storm. Join us, please, the child's voice whispered, haunting. And beautiful, carrying with it a promise that struck deeply at Jenna's heart. This wasn't just a fight for survival. Dark truths lingered here, waiting for revelation, and Jenna feared they weren't ready for what would come next. As the laughter grew agonizingly loud and shadows skittered closer, Jenna faced the spectral child, heart pounding. What do you want from us? She asked, desperate, but the answer lurked within the fog, ready to unveil something that would change everything. Would they dare confront the secrets hidden in the heart of the camp? As Jenna stepped forward, a sense of foreboding settled like a weight on her chest. Just like that, the mist swirled, thick and almost alive around them. Jenna felt an urge to retreat, to escape the eerie presence of the child, not just its hollow gaze, but the sinister promises it carried. "We need to go," she whispered, gripping Lucas's arm, urgency spilling from her voice like the shadows that wrapped them, but the child took a step closer, the fog curling around its frame. "You'll find what you seek," it beckoned, voice crystalline, an enticing lure smoother than velvet but edged with threat. "You feel it, don't you? The whispers, the power." "What power?" Lucas blurted, his voice trembling, a stray thread unraveling in fear. The figure wavered, almost melting into the mist, but the eyes remained locked onto Jenna, hollow, yet begging for connection. Jenna took a shaky breath, dread knotting her stomach. "This is wrong, we don't belong here." Every instinct screamed for them to run, but the child's presence weighed heavy, as if daring her to uncover the truth buried beneath layers of darkness. "Only by uncovering your own fears can you break free," it whispered, drifting back into the mist, leaving her grasping for coherence, sanity slipping like grains of sand. Behind them, the laughter grew more sinister, an echo of twisted joy that reverberated deep within her bones. "Please," she begged, looking back at Lucas, whose face had paled. "We have to keep moving." As they turned to run, the shadows converged, condensing into shapes that roiled with menace. Cries sliced through the air, a chorus of anguished pleas, each one a thread weaving deeper into their souls. Jenna's heart thudded wildly in her chest. "What do they want from us?" "I don't know." Lucas shouted, his breath hitching in a panic-laden gasp. The shadows darted closer, their forms reforming, growing sharper, stealing the breath from Jenna's lungs. "Stay with us," the chant harmonized, reverberating off the gnarly trees. "Stay ahead," the flicker of light shimmered, but doubt crept in alongside her hope. "What if we don't make it?" Lucas asked, eyes wide and glistening with unshed tears. "Stop. We are not giving in." Jenna thrust her chin up, her own fear igniting defiance. They plunged forward, every step a battle against the grasping darkness. The path narrowed and twisted, leading them further into the heart of the mist. "Jenna." The child's voice drifted back, now laced with urgency. It was part siren and part warning. "You need to understand. He's in the clearing, waiting. Your truth will set you free, but he who's waiting?" Jenna screamed, but the voice faded into the night, trailing off, leaving behind only whispers that echoed within her mind. The light, twisted and flickering, drew closer. With every step, it pulsed, reflecting her anxious heartbeat like a beacon. Would it be salvation or deception? As they broke through the haze, Jenna gasped at the sight before them. A clearing lit with an unnatural glow, shadows writhing like they were alive, and there he stood. A figure cloaked in darkness, face obscured, but a familiar aura surrounded him, pulling her closer against her will. "Come, Jenna." His voice was rich, smooth, almost comforting. "You've been searching for me. Who are you?" She felt the tremor in her voice, fear intertwining with undeniable recognition. Lucas pulled on her arm, an anchor amidst the chaos. The laughter crescendoed again, echoing around them, louder and more frenzied. The clearing began to spin, gravity losing its hold as shadows poured like a flood into their senses. Jenna felt a force wrap around her heart, a mixture of yearning and despair. "Can you see?" he whispered, slowly stepping into the light. "What's been hidden?" The anticipation of dread pooled in her stomach. She felt trapped, caught in the balance between courage and an unknown terror waiting to unravel the deepest secrets of the camp. In that moment, Jenna focused, ready for the truth and terrified of where it might lead. She stepped forward, drawing closer to the light, the shadows circling tighter. With a final breath, she let her voice break through the chaos. "What do you want?" "Me to see." But as she approached, the figure smiled, not a warm smile, but a knowing one. "To understand, you must first feel." With that, the ground trembled, and the laughter morphed into something darker, deeper, more insidious, as shadows rushed forward. Would she survive the revelation that awaited? Or would the camp claim yet another soul lost to its dark secrets? The shadows rushed at her, a living tide of darkness that clawed and grasped at her body, pulling her back. Jenna screamed as they enveloped her, their coldness seeping into her skin, filling her with a primal terror she had never known. Lucas was at her side, fighting against the darkness, but his strength seemed dwarfed by the enveloping gloom. "Jenna!" he yelled, his voice strained as he was dragged towards the obsidian depths that threatened to swallow them whole. "Fight it!" With each moment, her desperation deepened. She felt the weight of the figure looming nearby, a perverse magnet drawing her in, promising answers locked beneath layers of fear and regret. "Don't let go!" she cried, reaching for Lucas as the darkness oscillated like a heartbeat, trapping them in a macabre dance, but the figure stepped closer, its form becoming clearer amidst the shifting shadows. Red-tinged light caught the contours of a face half hidden, and chills crawled down Jenna's spine. Something in that face beckoned her, both familiar and terrifying. "You feel it, don't you?" It was a question wrapped in cruelty, and Jenna knew she faced an enemy she could not see completely yet. The laughter circled around them again, each note twisted into wicked delight. "Run, Jenna! Run!" echoed through the chaos, but the ground beneath her felt like quicksand, pulling her closer to whatever awaited her. "What do you want from me?" Her words rang hollow against the dark. Understanding, the figure answered, voice soothing yet laced with malice. "You've been living in shadow, Jenna. It's time to embrace the truth." At that moment, the shadows tightened, wrapping around her chest, whispering secrets in her ear, half-formed nightmares that festered in the corners of her mind. A rush of cold terror spilled through her. "No!" she gasped, fighting against them. "I want to let me show you." The figure extended a hand, fingers elongated and beckoning with an impossibly serene gesture. A pulse shot through her, a dark promise vibrating in the air. It felt wrong, yet there was an echo of familiarity, like a memory half remembered. And then she saw it, a vision flickered to life in the haze, each detail sharp and saturated. It was the camp, but altered. Darkened cabins cloaked in shadow, campers' laughter twisted into cries of despair that seared her soul. "Please!" she screamed, but her voice caught in her throat, harsh and raspy, images cascaded like falling leaves around her, betrayal, desperation, fear. Flashes of faces she recognized, but distorted, their eyes wide with terror as they disappeared into the depths. "No! This can't be real." She fought against the onslaught, but the shadows tightened their grip, overwhelming her senses. "Isn't this what you wanted?" the figure coaxed, voice dripping with honeyed malice. "To know the truth behind the camp? The secrets buried deep, waiting for someone to uncover them?" Each pulse of darkness pulled her deeper. Jenna staggered, feeling the walls of reality bend around her. Shattering echoes surrounded them, memories locked away like secrets. What did they signify? Would knowing be the key to her escape? "Stay with me," the shadows hissed, taunting, coaxing her to yield, to join the other lost souls in eternal darkness. "No!" Lucas shouted, fighting against the grip of the shadows, panic igniting in his eyes. "Not like this. We have to stand together." But just as Jenna reached out to him, everything began to shift. The ground rumbled beneath them, the laughter crescendoing into screams. The clarity of the moment fractured. The figure grinned wider, darkness swirling in a macabre dance. Jenna couldn't breathe, trapped in a moment with no end. What lay beyond those shadows? "Jenna! Focus!" Lucas's voice echoed, pulling her back, but would it be enough? What haunting truth awaited her, and at what cost? "Face your fears!" screamed Lucas, his voice a beacon in the storm of terror. Desperation surged within her. She couldn't turn away. "What if they consume me? Then we fight together." With determination trembling through every fiber of her being, she steeled herself against the swell of despair. "I refuse to be afraid." Words poured from her like a declaration, a defiance against the encroaching night, and as Jenna stood resolute, the shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, as if sensing her resolve, shaping darkness into a living entity. What would they reveal next? What would be the cost of discovery? The laughter echoed into silence, leaving a hushed anticipation. Would they uncover the nightmare waiting beneath? Or would the camp rewrite their fates entirely? Jenna's heart raced as she stood her ground, the cold tendrils of darkness still creeping around her. Lucas's face blazed with determination, but fear lurked in his eyes. The figure lingered just out of reach, its unsettling smile stretching as it watched her intently, waiting. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, like a gust of wind before a storm. The shadows seemed to pull back, swirling sonorously, almost hesitant. Jenna seized the moment, desperation fueling her instincts. "What are you hiding?" she demanded, voice raw with pent-up fury and fear. The figure chuckled softly, a sound that penetrated the air like a knife. "Oh, dear child. What is a secret if not a burden to be lifted?" It stepped forward, the darkness around it convulsing in anxious anticipation. The red-tinged light flickered, and within it, Jenna caught glimpses of things that both terrified and intrigued her. A place that once held innocence now corrupted with darkness. "Look closer," it coaxed, voice slithering through her thoughts. Shadows shifted, obscuring the space and morphing into phantoms of regret. Faces of campers lost over the years emerged, twisting and writhing, their eyes hollow, trapped in their own despair. Somehow, she knew them all. Friends, laughter, memories now torn apart. "Please stop," Jenna cried, the tension coiling tighter in her chest. But the figure's grin only widened. "You need to understand, Jenna. This is the past clawing its way back. Will you ignore the truth when it's begging for release? Can you face what you were so willing to forget?" Images cascaded around her, depicting moments from past summers, laughter mingled with the echo of screams, kids darting in the woods, shadows lurking at the edge, courageous hearts tainted by jealousy and ambition. Each image felt like a knife, cutting deeper into her soul. "Embrace me," it hissed, urgency laced through its voice. "Never," Jenna shouted, forcing her will against the consuming shadows. "I want to let them take me." "No. Fight." Lucas lunged toward her, stretching his hand towards Jenna's, a lifeline in the tempest that in that split second, the air trembled with tension. With newfound strength, Jenna stepped closer, refusing to let fear dictate her fate. "I want the truth," she shouted, her voice rising against the laughter of wicked mockery surrounding her. With the declaration, the shadows recoiled as if struck, a sudden surge of light blazed through the dark veil, illuminating just enough to show the figure faltering, its form flickering. "You shouldn't have done that," it growled, eyes narrowing into slits of rage. "What do you mean?" Jenna asked, unwavering, her heart pounding like thunder. The figure solidified for an instant, revealing a semblance of humanity twisted by darkness, an echo of someone once lost in their own ghosts. "You've chosen to see, but with every truth unveiled, a price must be paid." The ground trembled beneath them, the grief of the past rising like smoke, and Jenna could feel the weight of it pressing against her. Lucas's grip tightened on her arm, grounding her against the chaos. "Together, Jenna," he implored. Then, with a final scream that shattered the air, the figure lunged, trying to reclaim its lost power. The shadows surged and surged, more violent now, clawing and pulling them within. In the blink of an eye, Jenna felt her consciousness fracture. Darkness pooled around her, threatening to consume every piece of her. Just before everything went black, she caught a glimpse of an ancient tree in the distance, marked with names carved deep into the bark. "Lucas. We can't let it win." Jenna's voice was barely a whisper, as she and Lucas were dragged into the depths. What awaited them on the other side? Would they uncover the secrets buried deep within the cursed camp, or become yet another pair of lost souls trapped in the suffocating grasp of the past? And in that impending silence, a chilling thought emerged: if they uncovered the truth, would they even want to live with it? Jenna's mind spun as they plunged into the void. Time lost meaning, stretching and folding in on itself like a funeral shroud. Cold gripped her heart, silencing her screams. Suddenly, they hit the ground. The impact jarred her senses back to life, and she gasped for air, feeling the rough earth beneath her. Opening her eyes, dread crawled up her spine. They were in a clearing, but it wasn't like the camp she remembered. The sky loomed overhead, painted deep crimson, as if soaked in blood. Gnarled trees surrounded them, each one housing echoes of laughter that flickered out, leaving only ghostly whispers. Barren and twisted, the branches reached out like bony fingers, clawing at the air. "Where are we?" Lucas asked, his voice shaky. Jenna pushed herself up, scanning the horizon. There, situated in the middle of the clearing, was the ancient tree she'd seen in her last moments of consciousness. Its trunk was massive, etched with countless names, but now the letters seemed to writhe, as if alive. "Look!" She pointed, her voice trembling. As they moved closer, the wind picked up, howling a mournful tune that mirrored Jenna's growing unease. The tree stood as a monument to lost souls, and she felt their despair wash over her like a cold wave. "What do you think it means?" Lucas asked, glancing around nervously. "I don't know, but it feels wrong," Jenna replied, shivering. A sudden rustle in the brush made them freeze. From the darkness emerged shadowy figures, faces obscured, but Jenna recognized them. Campers from years past, distorted by their own nightmares, their hollow eyes filled with unspeakable sorrow. "Join us," one of them whispered, voice sweet yet chilling. "No. Stay back," Lucas shouted, taking a protective step in front of Jenna. But it was too late. The spirits glided closer, their fingers reaching out, brushing against Jenna's arms, icy and unsettling. Each touch sparked glimpses of their stories. A summer of fun turned into a season of terror. Accidents, fights, laughter that shattered into screams. The truth. Why are they trapped here? Jenna cried out, pulling away from the ghostly touch. "They couldn't let go," one spirit replied, its voice trembling with agony. "The darkness, it feeds on pain. Then we have to stop it," Jenna declared. "We can't let it take us too." But the spirits only laughed, a sound that grated on her nerves. "You think you can escape? You're already part of the story." Fearing she was losing herself, Jenna clutched Lucas's hand tighter. "We have to find a way out." The tree started to quiver, and the names carved into its bark glowed with a faint, pulsing light. "Rewrite the ending," the figures urged, their voices rising to a fever pitch that echoed ominously in her ears. "What does that mean?" Lucas yelled. Then, a chilling realization hit Jenna. The power to escape was within her, but at what cost? Memories of her own doubts and fears flooded back, mingling with the despair around her. Could she face the choices that had plagued her? Jenna took a deep breath, staring at the tree. "We can change it," she shouted, summoning every ounce of courage she had left. But as words left her mouth, shadows began to swirl violently around them. The darkness was rising, hungry for the truth Jenna was willing to uncover. Embrace the pain. Redeem the lost. The spirits screamed, their faces contorted with both hope and despair. "Lucas! Help me!" Together, they reached for the tree, minds racing with memories, buried secrets clawing at their subconscious. Would they find freedom in truth, or trap themselves in an unending cycle of suffering? As they pressed their palms against the rough bark, the tree quaked, releasing a low, guttural roar. "Jenna, we're running out of time," Lucas shouted, his voice drowned out by the chaos. The darkness grew, wrapping around them like a predator stalking in the night. They could either fight to rewrite the ending or be consumed by the very shadows they sought to escape. With a final resolve, Jenna gripped his hand, heart pounding fiercely. "We must confront it." In that moment, the air split with a deafening silence. The world around them faded, leaving only the looming threat of what lay ahead. What did it mean to truly face the past? As they plunged deeper into the mystery, Jenna felt the weight of their fate pressing upon her. But in her heart, a flicker of hope ignited. Would this be their reckoning or their undoing? The moment their palms connected with the tree, a piercing scream erupted from the depths around them, raw and agonizing. Jenna flinched, feeling the vibrations deep within her bones. It felt as if the very ground beneath them responded to their touch, a living entity aware of their presence, craving their fears. "Hold on!" Lucas shouted, gripping her hand tighter. The shadows twisted, coiling around their feet. They were pulling at her, trying to drag her into the dark. Her heart raced, pounding in her chest like a trapped bird. "Look!" Lucas pointed. A figure emerged from the swirling darkness, clothed in tattered camp gear, its face obscured by shadow and despair. This wasn't a spirit, it was something else entirely. It hovered, flickering in and out, eyes smoldering like embers. "You query the truth?" It hissed, voice eerily smooth. "Face it." "I don't want to." Jenna gasped. The very thought made her stomach twist. "What truth? What do you want?" The figure shrieked, sounding almost human but not quite. "There are secrets here, buried deep. Choices that led us all here, an unending cycle." It drifted closer, and Jenna felt the chill of the air around them grow sharper, like shards of ice. "Change it!" Lucas yelled defiantly. "Please! We have to change it." But they could sense the darkness laughing, a rumble of sorrowful glee echoing in the bereaved air. "Change? You think you can change fate? Look!" The dark figure waved a hand, and the world around them flickered. Instantly, Jenna was flooded with images shattering glass, terrified screams, flames licking at the edges of her memories. Camp activities that devolved into chaos played before her eyes, trapped moments of joy marred by violence, betrayal, and loss. With each vision, Jenna stumbled back, trying to shield herself. "Make it stop!" she wailed, but the figure just loomed closer, holding her gaze steady, forcing her to confront it. "Remember," it hissed, "when you chose fun over safety? When you laughed while others cried? How long until it consumes you? Your past will always return, you cannot escape." "I want to escape!" Jenna yelled, her voice tinged with desperation. Her mind raced. It wasn't just about rewriting an ending. It was about acknowledging shadows that never faded, about memories that haunted her everyday life. A soft voice echoed through her mind, hers. "Do you even want to face that truth, Jenna? Are you ready?" It felt like a knife, sharp and cutting deep. She trembled under the weight of it, the black tree distorted, its bark cracking and splitting like tectonic plates. Names burrowed further into the wood, glowing like stars from somewhere beneath. A feeling of urgency washed over Jenna. If she didn't act now, she might be forever trapped in these memories. "Lucas, we have to confront this. Together!" Jenna shouted, her voice swallowing fear, anchoring determination in its place. They both pressed their hands harder against the tree's rough texture, the pulsing glow matching their frantic heartbeat. The whispers of the lost grew louder, swirling around them, twisting the truths they had buried. "Don't be afraid, Jenna," Lucas insisted, eyes shining with fervor, even as shadows encircled him. "This is our moment. Let us rewrite the ending. Let us face what has been haunting us." She screamed. The figures around them hissed, the air thickening with anger and pain. But within that chaos surged a force, one born from their united desire to break free, to reveal the secret strangling them. The glow of the tree erupted with a blinding light that cut through the darkness, illuminating everything with white-hot clarity. As the shadows recoiled, Jenna and Lucas focused intently, channeling their turmoil and distress, pressing deeper. Every ounce of their grief and regret poured into the ancient tree, igniting the very air around them. "Yes. Do it," the figure cried out, almost a plea now, desperate to break the cycle. Just as they felt the tree start to shatter under the weight of their catharsis, ashes of their past began to swirl up around them, a maelstrom of hope and despair colliding. They could sense liberation on the horizon, but something sinister lingered in the air, unresolved and waiting. In the heart of the storm, shadows pulled back slightly, unveiling doors in the tree that had been hidden all along. "Your choice." The dark figure shrieked, now a whispering echo in the raging wind, which door leads to freedom, and which binds you to fate? Jenna's breath caught in her throat, a pit of dread forming in her stomach as she felt the weight of countless decisions hovering above her. She stared at the doors, uncertainty consuming her thoughts. There was no turning back. With the shadows roaring around them, demanding answers, Jenna took a trembling step forward. Which door would she choose? Would they unleash salvation or return them to the depths of despair? Jenna stood before the towering ancient tree, every inch of her trembling with fear and determination. Shadows writhed around, whispering enticing secrets, but Jenna's heart was determined not to yield. Each door gleamed in the dim light, beckoning with the weight of stories untold. Which one, Mom? Lucas's voice broke through the dark, pulling her focus back. His fear was palpable, a tight knot in her chest. They could not hesitate. She took a deep breath, grounding herself, and scanned the doors. One was engraved with the memories of laughter, the joyful sounds of summer days, another swirled with colors that stung her eyes, vibrant yet sinister, hinting at chaos, the last pulsed with an eerie darkness, its surface bleeding whispers that promised ease from pain. Together? She asked Lucas, locking eyes with him, the fierce bond they shared knitting them closer in the dire moment. Together, Lucas echoed, his small voice steady, reassuring her more than she expected. She reached for Lucas's hand, fingers intertwining, and let courage flood in. She moved toward the door that seemed to shimmer with a blurred mix of colors, a representation of life itself, filled with hope and fear intertwined. This is the one, she declared, forcing back the trepidation bubbling inside. Okay. Lucas nodded fiercely, squeezing her hand. Jenna pushed against the door, and it swung open with a creak that echoed in the gloom. They were engulfed in light, spilling out and sweeping them into a space that felt both familiar and alien, yet warm with an inviting pulse. Suddenly, they were back in the camp, not the ghostly version but the vibrant, happy one that Jenna remembered from her childhood. Laughter rippled through the trees like music. Children ran along the paths, their innocence untainted, joy cast in golden hues. Memories cascaded upon Jenna, shimmering like the sun filtering through leaves. Look! Lucas exclaimed, pointing toward a group of kids playing tag, their laughter infectious. But Jenna felt a twist of darkness creeping in the shadows, reminding her of the truth they had faced. It's beautiful, but it's also fake, she whispered, the realization hitting hard. They were stuck in an illusion, a perfect facade hiding the bitterness. Panic surged again. No, we need the truth. Jenna's voice broke through the calm. She turned, determined, whipping around in the shifting space. We should see what lies beyond this. Then let us go. Lucas encouraged, squaring his small shoulders, and so they ventured forward, leaving behind the festival noise as shadows curled closer. As they moved deeper into the camp, they glimpsed faces they knew, familiar smiles twisted with shadows lurking beneath. Each reflection in their eyes told stories of loss and despair hidden in the laughter of the past. No! Jenna cried, pushing against the weight of sorrow wrapped around them. This isn't real. She felt the tension build within as they lingered. Jenna entered a clearing swathed in familiar energy. Eyes wide, she gasped, recognizing the communal fire pit where she had once felt safe surrounded by friends. This is where it all changed, she murmured, as memories rushed forth, the crack of branches, the screams buried deep in hazy recollections, the secrets kept that had transformed joy into anguish. Lucas grasped her hand tighter, sensing the echoes of the terrors that had haunted their nights. What do we do? He asked, the tremor in his voice laced with fear and vulnerability. We face it, Jenna replied, her voice steady and resolute. She stepped toward the fire pit, her heart hammering against the walls of despair threatening to consume her. Let us rewrite the story. She shouted, calling forth the very essence of the memories cloaked in fear, demanding freedom from the cages they had built around themselves. The remnants of the past seemed to twist, howling like a tempest, tugging at her heart. Each face from past summers swirled before them, lingering in the air, waiting, needing to be acknowledged. Every one of you, she said, tears brimming in her eyes, "You don't need to hide any longer. We see you. We remember you." The flickering shadows began to dim, as if recognizing the truth spoken into existence. A collective sigh resonated through the space, as the spirits surrounding the camp turned towards Jenna, their faces softening, shimmering brighter with each acknowledgement. "They can be free," Lucas whispered, awe flowing through him as if he understood her intentions. "I want you all to find peace," Jenna continued, her voice powerful. "We choose to remember. We choose to stand together." As the words echoed, the eyes around them brightened, the air crackled with energy, and for a fleeting moment, shadows quaked, losing their grip. There was power in recognition, a surge that flowed into Jenna and Lucas like a torrential wave. They became the voice of the lost, catalyzing a release that vibrated through the very core of the camp, setting people and spirits alike free from their invisible chains. The clearing erupted in bright light, sending waves soaring through the air like fireworks. The oppressive weight of darkness shattered as the whispers of laughter turned joyous, filling the air with freedom. With each breath they took, memories of pain exhaled as light dissolved the shadows. Campers once lost began to shimmer into beams of hope, smiling back at Jenna and Lucas as they emerged from their confinement, radiant and free. Jenna clutched Lucas's hand tighter, feeling lighter than she had before, warmth flowing through her, meaningful and genuine. "We did it," she cried, her chest rising with relief. "Yes, we did it." Lucas beamed, eyes wide with a as they stood together in the vibrant glow. Jenna understood this was their farewell, a moment etched forever. She noticed that the spirits now glided away, laughter ringing in the air like a sweet melodic farewell. Darkness lingered in the periphery but had lost its hold, and together, they embraced the sunlight burning away the remnants of shadows. They were finally free, back at the edge of the camp, wrapped in a new warmth. Jenna turned to Lucas, "Now let us get away from here." "Forever," he replied, both of them chuckling, forcing the ache of everything they had endured from their hearts, and as they walked hand in hand into the distance, they took with them a promise, a truth recognized, shadows defeated, and sorrows transformed into light. The camp had been more than just a place, it had become a testament of resilience through adversity and a declaration of their chosen journey together as a mother and son. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive tales that await you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support for our journey together. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about this mind-blowing conclusion, and don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of facing the truth.